These are breaking inputs that are coming in Shompia. The police have started the process of probing an encounter that had taken place in the month of July, but the families of those who were shot down had cried foul, saying that they were not terrorists, they were laborers. The police then collected DNA samples from 6 family members to match it with the individuals who were killed in the encounter. Their bodies were taken out the grave for that DNA testing. The SIT, which is now in Rajouri, which is to further investigate the case here. We should remember here that the family members of the 3 who were killed in this encounter had claimed that they were laborers belonging to their family. They were not terrorists. This is mistaken identity is what their allegation was.
Well, a police team, a special investigation team headed by a DYSP went all the way from Shopian to Raji to collect the DNA samples, as we have been on this story non-stop from the last many days. Last we reported was about the DNA samples being taken by the police, and now they'll be matched. A police team went to Rajouri, collected DNA samples of at least 6 family members, and they were also questioned about these 3 individuals. Now, family has been maintaining since that they were not militants. They are innocent laborers who had gone to Shopian to earn their livelihood. Now, post that this investigation was started, there is an internal army inquiry, but then there is the bigger inquiry being done by the J&K police. Now, in a few days, the DNA results will be out. We know they'll be matched with the families, and then we will know for certainty whether they were militants or whether they were locals or whether they were civilians. That is something that is gaining credence, because family, the moment they saw the photographs of these killed individuals, they identified them without any doubt that they are their own, they are locals, and they were not militants. So this obviously will clear the DNA profiling, and post that it will be crystal clear who they were.
These are breaking inputs coming in regarding those who had helped during rescue operations in the wake of the Air India craft crashing at the Kozhikode runway. 22 people, which includes the Malappuram district collector, the assistant collector, fire force officials who were all involved in the rescue operations during this airplane crash, have tested positive. We have with us our correspondent Vivek getting us further inputs here. Vivek, this is really unfortunate. This is a large number that we're looking at, 22. How far, what do we know with respect to contact tracing? Has this come in from the passengers who were, of course, flying in from Dubai?
Exactly. See, from the passengers who came from Dubai, only one person was tested positive. But now we come to know, let me just add to what you have just said,
okay,
what we have just flashed. Apart from 22, even Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, Health Minister K.K. Shailaja, and 4 other ministers who came to the spot has also been, now sent to self-quarantine. 22 people who were there in the, rescue operations at that point of time was tested positive. That includes the Malappuram collector, the assistant collector, 3 fire force officials, and also a number of localites who were there in that area in Karipur. Now, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and also the 4 Council of Cabinet Minister who was there present at that point of time, who was directly in contact with the assistant collector and the district collector of Malappuram is also now going to now have gone to self-quarantine from today onwards. So, which means that tomorrow's Independence Day programs, basically Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan will not be hoisting the flag. Instead, Kadagambali Surendran, the Devasam Minister in charge, will be hoisting the flag. Now, this is something which is very unfortunate, because when an accident happens of this magnitude, obviously, you expect senior leaders and, politicians, especially chief ministers and other people to be there. But in the meantime, even at that point of time, there were warning from the district administration that when VVIPs and VIPs are coming there, people should not gather at the point of time. Even when I was personally reporting from the spot of aircraft, it was
That's
a containment zone. And, there was lathi charge at the point of time when large number of people just, they basically are very, want to know what exactly happened over there. They just come to the site to just get a glimpse of the aeroplane, and, the situation out there. So basically there are chances of, the infection spread, because in a containment zone, you never know how many people have been infected, and you cannot go and check each and every person unless and until you have some symptoms. So here, all VVIPs and even Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, senior
That's
BJP
right.
leaders, E. Muralidharan, even the aviation minister had
All
come
right.
to this
So
spot.
essentially, this was, of course. Yes, Vivek, many thanks for getting us those inputs and further adding to that here, because 22 is a large number that we're looking at. This was also with respect to visits by top politicians, including the Chief Minister, the Aviation Minister here. There should have been a forewarning in place. Let's now get to an update here. Ongoing investigations of the Bengaluru violence and the 4 who have been arrested. So that is primarily the main focus, the 4 accused who have arrested, out of which 3 of them either affiliated with the SDPI or have been supporting the outfit, which is the SDPI. Now, the 4th person under the scanner is a Congress Corporator's husband, Kaleem Pasha, who was arrested today, and his supporters allegedly are part of the mob. This was about the mob and the violence that had broken out Tuesday night on Bengaluru following a controversial post on Facebook.
ಇಡೀ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಗ್ರಗಾಮಿ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳು ಅನೇಕ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಜಮ್ಮು ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿರ್ಬೋದು ದೇಶದ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿರ್ಬೋದು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಅದನ್ನು ಉಗ್ರಗಾಮಿಗಳನ್ನು ಮಟ್ಟ ಹಾಕಿರೋಂಥ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಈ ಜಿಜ್ಬಿ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು 2 ಥರದಲ್ಲಿ. ಒಂದು, ಈಗ ಯಾರು ದಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ದೇಶದ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರನೇ ವಸೂಲಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದು ರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎರಡನೇದು ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಈ SDPI ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಉಳಿದಂಥ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಇದ್ರ ಬ್ಯಾನ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾಡಿದ್ದು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ 20ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನೆಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಅವತ್ತು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಂತಿಮ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ತಗೋತೀವಿ.
Our correspondent Neha Hebbale getting us further inputs here. Neha, these were 4 arrests that were made earlier, but that continues to be the focus of the police. Any further headway?
For now, we understand that the police has, narrowed down on these 4 persons who had a big hand to play in the mob violence that day. So the police is now going to try and ascertain whether there were any more persons who were involved, who were linked to these people. Was there a hand of a bigger, leader over here that was involved, or was this just, a rivalry between the Congress and the SDPI, as the BJP has been alleging? So there are several crucial things that, the cops would like to scrutinize at this point. We did speak to the police commissioner earlier, who said that the organization of, those who have been arrested, of course, will be scrutinized, and those accused who have currently been picked up and who are being questioned will, in fact, their role possibly in any of previous incidents, be it the Mangalore firing incident or the Mysore incident where, you had an attack also on a JDS leader. So all of these aspects are something, that are going to be considered and kept in mind while investigating this case. But a very interesting point here that was made by the police commissioner was the fact that digital evidence is going to play a very big role in this case, because let's remember he's mentioned that you have social media posts, that have gone viral now, and there was a lot of communication on social media that could have possibly incited this mob, is what, he has gone on to indicate. But let's wait and see as to what more really comes out of this investigation and how many more angles emerge right now.
Okay. All right, so this is essentially 4 people arrested. Scrutiny now is currently only on these 4. Neha, thank you for getting us those inputs. This is a fringe group which went ahead and held Ganesh Chaturthi inaugural ceremony in Chennai, and this was a very clear violation of instructions that were given in by the Tamil Nadu government in not allowing any celebrations, any gatherings in public space for the festival. The Hindu Munnani cadres tied holy thread. They also laid a ceremonial pole in front of a temple in Chennai. The police reached well in time. They also removed the pole and dispersed of the crowd, making it very clear that these are strict instructions this festival season. Our correspondent Pramod is getting us more updates.
Tamil Nadu government has denied permission for any kind of celebrations during Ganesh Chaturthi, which falls on 22nd of August, and permission for placing idols at public areas, placing processions, or even immersion of idols at water bodies have been completely denied, stating that these measures are required to combat COVID-19 situation. However, one of the pro-Hindu groups in Tamil Nadu called as Hindu Munnani has actually challenged the state government, claiming that this is a kind of atrocity and this is actually being planned by officials with Naxalite thoughts who are giving such kind of ideas to the chief minister, and they said that they will defy this cancellation of permission and they will place idols in various locations. In fact, 1.5 lakh locations in Tamil Nadu, and in fact, as a kind of the first step, what they did today is that in Chennai, in front of this temple at Triplicane, they gathered, almost 40 cadres gathered, and they started with the ceremonial tying of sacred rope and placing a mast and things like that. And thankfully, the police came on time. A large number of police came over here and they dispersed them. In fact, as we speak, police are still at this location, making sure that there no untoward incident occurs. However, Hindu Munnani has challenged the chief minister and they're claiming that they will celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi. Yet, the state is very clearly, has very clearly said that these measures are required to make sure that they can control the infection at this moment. In Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, the number is 5,800 minimum every day being reported, and that's why the state has mentioned that all these measures are required to combat COVID-19. With camera person Vijay Shekhar, Pramod Madhav for Mera Now.
Let's now get you other news that's coming in from across the country. The Director General of Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has appointed Captain S.S. Chahar, which is to inquire into the circumstances of what led to the air crash, the Kozhikode plane crash. 5-member panel now that has been set up to probe this. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has launched a portal of opportunities for Make in India in defence. This was via video conferencing today. The portal is part of the ministry's Atmanirbharta Saptah push. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat was also there. Supreme Court has held lawyer Prashant Bhushan guilty of contempt of his alleged tweets on the Chief Justice of India and his 4 predecessors. The Apex Court will now hear the arguments on his sentencing on the 20th of August. A 4-story building that has collapsed in the Hatia area in Kanpur following incessant rainfall. This has led to 2 people reported dead. Rescue operations which are still underway. A young man who was shot by 3 bike-borne men in Gaya. The young man was shot at several times, after which he was sent to the hospital. The footage that has been retrieved, CCTV footage that was installed, is now being scrutinized, scanned by the police. This is a breaking update coming in as far as 22 who were involved in the rescue operations have tested positive for COVID-19. This was at the Kozhikode airport, following which now the Kerala Chief Minister and other ministers who also visited the site, the plane crash site, are in self-quarantine. Cooperation and Devaswam Minister will hoist the national flag at Independence Day function, which is to be held in Thiruvananthapuram tomorrow. So, of course, we're not going to have the Chief Minister marking Independence Day celebrations for the state of Kerala tomorrow because he is now in quarantine. We have with us our correspondent Vivek getting us those breaking inputs here. Vivek, this was, of course, mentioned earlier as well, that the basic precautionary measure here, which was not taken. There was visit by the Chief Minister and other ministers there to the plane crash site as well. And now this is imperative quarantine because of 22 positive cases reported from there.
That's right. The 22 positive cases reported from there. Also, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, also along with, other ministers, 4 other ministers, A.C. Moiteen, E. Chandrasekharan, K.T. Jalil, and E.P. Jayarajan, V.S. Sunil Kumar, Karandapalli Ramachandran, all these cabinet ministers are now asked to go to, will be going to quarantine, self-quarantine. At this point of time, all these people were, in touch with, the collector and the assistant collector who were tested positive. Remember, 22 people have been tested positive, including the rescue operation team and also 2 fire force officials, including in that. Now, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan did also visit the site in Idukki, in Pettumudi, in Rajamala. Also there, that there were allegations that social distancing norms were not followed. People were standing together, without maintaining the distance. So, so tomorrow's Independence Day parade, Chief Minister will not be there, to hoist the flag. Instead, the Devasam Minister Kadagambuli Surendran will be there. So even at that point of time when the aeroplane crash happened, there were warnings that was issued by the district administration and the police that people should not gather at this point of time because VVIPs and VVIPs are coming over there. Even though it was in a containment zone, that large number of people had actually assembled at that point
Yes.
at the rail side of the airport to get a glimpse of this debris of the aeroplane,
Right.
which is crashed, in the airport. So all these things did lead to these kind of
Absolutely.
Now that 22 people plus 22 people have been tested positive, and the Chief Minister and 4 cabinet ministers are asked to go to self-quarantine.
All right. Well, Vivek, many thanks for getting us those details there. This is going to be an Independence Day celebration, and with the Chief Minister now, of course, is not going to be involved in the flag hoisting ceremony tomorrow. He is on quarantine. And this is part of our Independence Day special series, remarkably paying our tribute as far as Corona warriors across the country are concerned this year. We are looking at the accredited social health activist workers who are also known as the ASHA workers, who have also, along the doctors, alongside the nurses, working tirelessly here as far as reining in the pandemic is concerned. Our correspondent Ayushman is getting us these details. This is a story of one such ASHA worker named Rekha.
As the nation went into a shutdown, 46-year-old Rekha, an ASHA worker in South Delhi, stepped out every day. Her job was to carry out door-to-door surveillance to find COVID-infected citizens and to spread awareness.
और अब कोविड का जो ये चला हुआ है उसमें तो कभी भी फ़ोन कर देती हैं डॉक्टर एनम कि भाई ये पेशेंट का पता करो, ये पॉजिटिव निकला है। फिर उसके आसपास 50 घरों का सर्वे के लिए बोलते हैं कि 50 घर का सर्वे करवाओ, तो फिर हम सर्वे भी करते हैं। बहुत ही मुश्किल था कि मतलब हमें कुछ चीज़ें प्रोवाइड नहीं करते थे, ग्लव्स नहीं, मास्क नहीं, वो तो हम ज़बरदस्ती मांगते थे कि हमें वहाँ एरिया में भेजा जा रहा है तो हमें कम से कम हमारी सुरक्षा के लिए कुछ तो दो। तब बोलते थे कि आ ही नहीं रहा, पीछे से सामान नहीं आ रहा है, तो फिर हम बोलते थे हम नहीं जाएंगे। तब 1-2 बार उन्होंने ग्लव्स वगैरह दिया और ये मास्क वगैरह भी दिया।
Rekha has been working as ASHA worker since 2008. She has 420 houses under her jurisdiction and she visits 20 to 30 homes every day on foot, armed with a register, pen, a mask and gloves.
In managing the COVID crisis, the door-to-door screening in the containment zone and also the other areas, the work of ASHA workers becomes very, very important. And currently, we are in the bylanes of Neb Sarai, where you can see Rekha ji interacting with the people who are there staying in those bylanes in the Neb Sarai area. currently inquiring if there is anyone who is suffering from influenza-like illness or severe acute respiratory infection. These data are then given to the higher authorities, which gets collated, and then the RT-PCR or the antigen test evaluation is done. This is where the role of ASHA worker becomes very important, forming them or making them as the backbone of the entire system of surveillance in the country.
The scorching heat hasn't slowed Rekha down. But what does become a challenge for her is resistance from the community. People often hide information owing to the stigma.
और तेरी बेटी को टाइफाइड का टीका लगा था? नहीं लगा। अब टीका आ गया डिस्पेंसरी में, तो बुधवार के दिन या शुक्रवार के दिन आप आके लगवा लेना।
जो पॉजिटिव होते हैं वो जल्दी से बता के खुश नहीं होते कि भाई हम पॉजिटिव हो गए हैं, वो भी छुपाते हैं। और आस पड़ोस का जो भी है वो भी चेंज हो जाता है। वो आपस में ही मतलब ये सोचते हैं कि पता नहीं क्या हो गया इनको, आपस में ही आमने सामने भी घर होंगे तब भी हेल्प नहीं करते हैं। तो बीमारी तो फैल ही रही है तो सबको पता है, लेकिन ये छुपाते भी हैं। तो हम लोग यही बताते हैं कि छुपाओ मत, जितना हो सके एक तो टेस्ट कराओ, टेस्ट करा के अपना इलाज कराओ। तो ये ऐसी छुपाने वाली तो नहीं है बीमारी, लेकिन लोग बाग करते हैं और भेदभाव भी करते हैं।
Rekha faced the stigma not just while doing her job, but also when she and her family got infected by COVID.
सोच भी नहीं सकते थे कि भैया, मैं सोच सकती थी कि मैं हो सकती हूँ पॉजिटिव, क्योंकि मैं तो कंटेंट जोन में भी जाती थी और पॉजिटिव जो केस निकल जाते थे उनके घर के बाहर हम पोस्टर लगा के आते थे, हालचाल भी पूछ के आते थे। लेकिन ये नहीं पता था कि हमारी फैमिली में और लोग भी पॉजिटिव हो सकते हैं। मैंने इतनी मतलब सुविधा अपनाई, भाई सैनिटाइज भी करना, हैंड वॉश भी आते ही, ग्लव्स वगैरह भी पहनती थी, मास्क भी और चुन्नी से अपना फेस कवर भी करके रखती थी कि भी बच्चों को कोई वो ना दिक्कत ना हो। लेकिन फिर भी हो गया। तो बाहर से ही जैसे कोई भी निकलता था तो इतनी अजीब तरीके से देख के जाते थे और मतलब अच्छा भी नहीं लगता था।
मेरी मदर का कोविड की वजह से बहुत ज़्यादा ही प्रेशर बढ़ गया काम का। पहले इतना नहीं था जितना आज हो गया है। पहले उनके पास इतना टाइम था कि हमसे पूछ सकती थी आराम से कि जो हमारा इंटरेक्शन होता है, लेकिन आज का टाइम ऐसा हो गया है कि उनके पास इतना टाइम नहीं है कि वो हमारे से इंटरेक्शन की कोई भी बात कर सके टोटली।
उम्मीद भी नहीं थी कि ऐसा भी कुछ होगा कि भाई कोरोना टाइप ये बीमारी कोई आएगी ऐसी। अब इसी चक्कर में इतना सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग बढ़ गया है, सारा कुछ घर में नहीं ढंग से मिल सकते, बैठ सकते, बात कर सकते। जिम्मेवारी है तो उसमें वो तो उनको करना ही पड़ेगा, जिम्मेवारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है तो उसमें कर रहे हैं वो। बस यही चीज़ है कि हमें भी फिर उनका साथ ही देना है एक तरीके से।
अरे बेटा मम्मा को भेजो बाहर।
Despite these challenges, ASHA workers haven't stopped. Yet they only get an honorarium ranging from Rs 2,000 to 4,000 on an average. Many like Rekha are forced to make out-of-pocket expenses to secure protective gear to continue with their duties.
दिक्कत की बात तो है ही कि भी इंसेंटिव है, कोई सैलरी नहीं है और वो भी कई महीने में मिलता है। और अब कोविड में जब से लगे हैं तो पॉजिटिव भी हो गई आशा काम के दौरान, और ये कि सैलरी भी नहीं मिलती है और इतने कम इंसेंटिव है कि आशा का घर चलना बहुत मुश्किल है।
Rekha and her family have gone the extra mile in this COVID battle. Rekha is a frontline COVID warrior, a crucial link in tracing and isolating infected people. As we salute her hard work, we also ask, will the government listen to her appeal? With Sanjeev Chetri and Ayushman Kumar, Gauri Singh for Mirror Now.
Certainly a huge inspiration for all of us this year. With that, we're slipping into a very tiny breather here on The Big Story. Stay with us. We're back in just a bit. This is the big story. I'm Seher Zama. We're making a start with developments that have come in from Rajasthan. In a very crucial day today, it was a special state assembly session for the trust vote for the state government. That having happened, it was also a day of dramatic speeches that were heard from the Chief Minister, from Sachin Pilot and other major leaders in the Rajasthan State Assembly. To be noted here was a fiery statement that was given out by Sachin Pilot with respect to his seating inside the assembly today. Remember, he used to sit next to the Chief Minister, as in being in the position of the Deputy Chief Minister, which he is no longer. Today he was allotted a seat which was close to the opposition. So he took a jibe at that, saying that those warriors who are the strongest are sent to the border.
मैं सुबह 11:15 बजे हाउस के अंदर आया और सीट को यहां पर पाया. मैं बहुत लंबा इंटरवेंशन नहीं करना चाहता हूं, लेकिन पहले जब मैं वहां बैठता था तो सुरक्षित था, सरकार का हिस्सा था. फिर मैंने सोचा कि अध्यक्ष महोदय ने और हमारे चीफ विप साहब ने मेरी सीट यहां पर क्यों रखी है. 2 मिनट मैंने सोचा और फिर देखा कि ये सरहद है, पक्ष है, विपक्ष है, और सरहद पर किसको भेजा जाता है? सबसे मजबूत योद्धा को भेजा जाता है. और आज इस विश्वास मत में जो चर्चा हो रही है उसमें बहुत सी बातें बोली गई, बहुत सी बातें बोली जाएंगी. समय के साथ साथ सब बातों को खुलासा होगा. आज वास्तविकता पर ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. धरातल पर जब हमने कल संकल्प लिया, बैठकर बातें करी, सारी बात खत्म कर कर आज सदन में जब प्रवेश किया है, तो इस सरहद पर कितनी भी गोलाबारी हो, हम सब लोग और मैं कवच और ढाल, गदा और भाला बनकर यहां पर सुरक्षित रखूंगा. मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं.
Ashok Gehlot's government has passed the trust vote here. The government is now safe in Rajasthan, but in a statement that the Chief Minister made on the floor of the House, in openly attacking the BJP, saying that the BJP tried to topple the Congress government in the state but was unsuccessful.
आपकी कोई चाल, हमारा जो कुंबा बैठा हुआ है, इसको आप कितनी कोशिश कर लोगे, आप, आपके साथी, आपके हाईकमान, जिसे तय कर रखा है राजस्थान सरकार को मैं गिरा के रहूंगा, और मैं तय कर चुका हूं किसी कीमत पर गिरने नहीं दूंगा. अमित शाह जी को सपने में भी सरकारें कैसे गिरे, कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत कैसे बने. मोदी जी हो, अमित शाह जी हो, 2 लोग राज कर रहे देश के अंदर. डेमोक्रेसी, सरकारें गिराओ, कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत बनाओ. अरे कांग्रेस का इतिहास पढ़ो, आप लोगों की आंखें खुल जाएगी.
The Congress government of Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan has sailed through the 4 tests. Earlier in the day, we saw it was decided in the CLP meet yesterday that instead of facing a no confidence motion brought about by the opposition BJP, it would be better for Gehlot to introduce a trust vote on his own. This because clearly he was very well ensconced in the Legislative Assembly, especially with all the numbers in place. After the all-famous CLP yesterday, which saw former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot for the first time shake hands, meet up, smile broadly at each other. So clearly it was Congress's chance to show that everything was well in shape, it was well in order. And Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot putting out the tweet earlier in the day today saying that it will be the victory of the people of Rajasthan and it would also be the victory of united Congress in Rajasthan. So the ease with which all this has happened would certainly bring a smile on the faces of all the troubleshooters of Congress, particularly Sachin Pilot there coming out to address the media and saying as to how the BJP should not be taking pot shots at what has transpired in the Congress. In the same way, the Congress does not comment on the internal matters of the BJP. Sachin Pilot also earlier making a comment pertaining to the seating change arrangement that he had met up with in the assembly earlier. So clearly all is well as far as Rajasthan is concerned for now, and a lot of bright hope and cheer in particular for all the troubleshooters of the Congress party.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah has tweeted out that he has now tested negative for COVID-19, so he's recovered. He says, though, he will continue to remain in isolation. He had tested positive on the 2nd of August and was under treatment. We have with us our correspondent Ayushman getting us those details here. Ayushman, please go ahead. He's of course confirmed that he's recovered, but his period in isolation, though, is to continue.
Yes, sir. In fact, the Medanta hospital from where the Home Minister was admitted, they had been maintaining a silence on the status. And if you remember, Manoj Tiwari, the MP, had tweeted earlier, but the MHA denied. And this time, the Union Home Minister has himself tweeted and has said that his COVID test results have come negative. And but because of the doctors' concern, the Home Minister will continue to remain in home isolation for a few more days. He has recovered and he will be discharged from the hospital. This is what the Medanta hospital has told us. And so far, right now, we know that the tweet has come from himself, the Home Minister, who had earlier tested positive and was admitted in Medanta hospital. His test reports have come negative, but the Home Minister will continue to stay in home isolation for next few days.
All right, so this is of course to follow for the next few days, and this is as confirmed as it gets, with the minister tweeting it out himself. Ayushman, thank you for getting us those inputs. This is an update on the Kerala gold smuggling case now. Enforcement Directorate has made a series of startling revelations. The ED says prime accused here, Swapna Suresh, who had high influence in the Kerala Chief Minister's office. The ED also says Swapna Suresh revealed her closeness with the former IT Secretary and that he had clear knowledge about Swapna's dubious integrity on how she was involved. Further investigations here revealed that the IT Secretary had also multiple meetings with the accused when the Kerala state machinery was in the UAE in 2018. The Sessions Court, though, has now extended the custody of all three accused till the 17th of August. So this is information with ongoing investigations or what sources within the ED have told us. We have with us our correspondent Vivek getting us further inputs here. Vivek, given the fact that she did have high influence in the Kerala Chief Minister's office, this is of course regarding the former IT Secretary.
Exactly. This particular plea that's been submitted by the Enforcement Directorate clearly shows that Swapna Suresh did have high influence in the Chief Minister's office through M. Shivashankar. Now, this particular custody plea was submitted in the Sessions Court by the Enforcement Directorate today morning, and this clearly says that Swapna Suresh did have meetings, did participate in meetings, in personal meetings with M. Shivashankar in 2018, when the state missionary was in Dubai at various points of time. Basically, that was for collecting the funds for the flood-affected areas in Kerala, and also to collect funds from the businessmen and the NRI community in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and various Gulf countries. Now, this particular revelation by the Enforcement Directorate that Swapna Suresh do have high influence in the Chief Minister's office is something which will come as a huge embarrassment for the ruling government. Also, it says that the M. Shivashankar, who has already been questioned by the NIA and the customs, needs to be investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. Also, interestingly, what needs to be observed here is the court has clearly warned, has clearly stated, the ED, that you cannot mentally torture Swapna Suresh because a complaint has been filed. This issue has been raised by Swapna's advocate, saying that she's mentally been tortured. She's been questioned for long hours. And, they have clearly, the court has clearly asked the enforcement directorate agencies to make sure that she's being questioned between 10 o'clock and 5 p.m., 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. and not more than that, because she's been grilled for the last, quite some days, last 1 month, and she's been questioned continuously by 3 different agencies, with the customs, with the NIA, and the ED, and there has already been, concerns that's been raised by her team, that's by her advocate, that she's been questioned, she's been grilled continuously, and she's been mentally harassed. Now, coming back to this issue, this is going to be a huge environment, and the government answer to the contentions that's been made by the enforcement directorate that the Swapna Suresh, one of the key accused in this particular case, did have high influence in Chief Minister's office.
Vivek, stay on with us. Thank you for getting us that update, because we're going to be taking in more inputs from you on the latest. This is as far as the Kerala Chief Minister is concerned for Independence Day celebrations tomorrow. These are more breaking inputs coming in with the Kerala Chief Minister and others who had visited the Kozhikode airplane crash site at the airport there have now gone into self-quarantine. And this is because 22 of those who were involved in rescue operations at the accident site have tested positive for COVID-19. So this is as a precautionary measure. Remember, this was a crash site which was visited just a few days back by the Chief Minister, by other ministers of the state here as well. So as far as Independence Day flag hoisting celebrations in Thiruvananthapuram there are concerned, are now to be done by the corporation and the Devaswam minister. Our correspondent Vivek, who's been getting us further details here. Vivek, you were also explaining this to us earlier on how you yourself reporting this case was caught by surprise, because there were no COVID-19 precautions that were taken. This was a containment zone to begin with that we were looking at, and yet no precautions were being followed.
That's right. Right from the beginning, when this particular air crash happened over there, there were speculations regarding, VVIPs and politicians coming and, visiting the spot. The district administration was very much concerned regarding this. They did raise this issue, and many people did ask, as why do we need, especially in a containment zone, and when there is already a strict lockdown that's been implemented in that area. Why does all these people, especially ministers, cabinet ministers in state government, and also the aviation minister coming there, because there are chances that their party workers and their followers could actually come and visit them to come and come to that spot to get a glimpse of them. So this was raised, and now that 22 people in that area, in that spot, who were there in the rescue operations has been tested positive. Chief Minister and 5 other cabinet ministers, including the Health Minister KK Shailaja, Kadanappalli Ramachandran, AC Moideen, and one more minister, is being asked to be on self-quarantine. Now, remember, tomorrow is the Independence Day, and Chief Minister is supposed to hoist the flag, and he won't be there, in the Central Stadium, and instead, Kadagambally Surendran, the Tourism Minister, will be hoisting the flag here in Trivandrum.
Yes. All right, Vivek, thank you for getting us those details. Now, the NGT has held 4 companies, including the BPCL, the HPCL. This is in connection with the Mahul case that Mirror Now has been tracking for the past couple of years. The BPCL and the HPCL, it has held these 4 companies for creating a gas chamber-like situation in Mahul and causing all of those physical ailments to the nearby residents. It has directed all of these 4 companies now to pay compensation. This is to the tune of 286.2 crores for causing damage to the environment. NGT today has said it cannot be denied here on how these companies have contributed substantially, predominantly to making the situation toxic in these villages, affecting the environment, affecting the people. We have with us our correspondent Disha getting us further inputs. Disha, this has been a very long fight for the residents of Mahul. You, of course, have been speaking to them regularly for the past few years, ever since there was an alarming rise in the number of people falling sick living in the area. And now the NGT makes it very clear that it is because of these 4 companies who were creating a gas chamber-like situation in the area. It was not livable there.
Well, certainly, if we talk about the NGT today, was hearing a plea that was filed by a Mumbai resident seeking execution for control of air pollution, specifically in Mahul, Ambapada and Chembur areas here in the city of Mumbai, particularly by these companies. So NGT, after several observations, they have come to conclusion that yes, these companies have indeed caused damage to the environment. They have created a gas chamber-like situation, specifically in Mahul, Ambapada and Chembur areas. As we all know that these 3 areas are in very close proximity to all the refineries, big chemical factories. And these companies are BPCL, HPCL, even if you talk about Sea Lord Containers, as well as the Aegis Logistics. So now all of these companies are being directed to pay at least a tune of 286 crore rupees for causing damage to the environment. On the humanitarian grounds, of course, as far as for people is concerned, they also believe that these companies have contributed substantially and predominantly to the volatile organic compounds in all of these villages in concern. They have also observed that prolonged exposure to hazardous air pollutants may even weaken the lungs and other organs.
All right, so this undoubtedly puts all 4 companies in the dock here for ruining the environment, for making it toxic for the villagers to be staying there as well. Disha, thank you for getting us those details. This Independence Day, Mirror Now is doing a special feature in all those whom we've been calling COVID warriors in the midst of the pandemic, sacrificing and risking their lives in helping COVID patients, in helping bring down the numbers in this pandemic. Now, here's the story of Sheila, a 32-year-old nurse. She leaves her young daughter and husband at home every day and comes to treat patients at the Rajiv Gandhi Hospital in Chennai.
Every morning for the last 32 years, Sheila wakes up at 4 a.m. to first finish off the kitchen work for the day. She prepares breakfast and lunch for the family and then makes her way to work.
காலையில் எழுந்துச்சு ஒரு பிரேக்ஃபாஸ்ட்க்கு ரெடி பண்ணிவிட்டு லஞ்சுக்கும் ரெடி பண்ணிவிட்டு ரைஸ் மட்டும் எங்கள் ஹஸ்பண்ட் வீட்டிலேருந்து அவங்க சூடாக வச்சுருவாங்க. இல்லட்டா அதையுமே செய்யணும், அதையுமே ரெடி பண்ணி வச்சுட்டு போயிடுவோம். பிள்ளைங்க ஸ்கூல் விட் வரைக்கும் எல்லாமே ஆரி தான் பேக் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருவோம். உட்காந்துக்குங்க, பேக் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருவோம். ஸோ பிள்ளைங்க எப்போ ஸ்கூல் விட் வரைக்கும் வந்து ஆரி தான் சாப்பிடுவாங்க. நம்ம வீட்டில் இருக்க அம்மாவும் அப்பா வீட்டில் இருக்கிற அன்னைக்கு சூடாக சாப்பிடுவோம், எல்லாம் ஃபேமிலியாக உட்காந்து சாப்பிடுவோம்.
Sheila, a nurse, works at Rajiv Gandhi Hospital in Chennai. Sheila is one of the unsung heroes of these trying times. Working in tough conditions for more than 12 hours is not new for Sheila. But of course, this pandemic has put her in unprecedented circumstances as well. She claims she has never seen such a large number of patients, most of them panic-stricken.
பப்ளிக் இப்போ நிறைய வர்றாங்க நமக்கு ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் வந்து நிறைய பேஷண்ட்ஸ் வர்றதுனால அது யூஸ்வலாக இருக்கிறத விட அந்த ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ஃபுல் ஒர்க்லோடு ஜாஸ்தியாக தான் இருக்குது. இப்போ பேஷண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் வரும்போதே வந்து பாசிட்டிவ்ன்றப்ப அந்த ஆங்ஸைட்டி ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ஸோடு தான் வருவாங்க, என்ன ஏதுன்னு தெரியாது அவங்களுக்கு. ஸோ அதனால் அந்த பயத்தோடவே வருவாங்க. உடனே வந்து எதாவது ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் நடக்கணும் அப்படின்னு அந்த இதோடு இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி பேஷண்ட்ஸை நம்ம வந்து ஹேண்டில் பண்ணணும். அவங்க வரும்போது ஒரு சிலர் சண்டை போடுவாங்க, ஒரு சிலர் உடனே நடக்கணும்னு சொல்லுவாங்க.
Sheila's focus is to first comfort the patients, assure them of a good treatment because she understands how fear of the unknown can hit even the strongest.
கோவிட்னு வரப்போ வந்து எனக்குமே பயம் இருந்துச்சு ஸ்டார்டிங்கில். அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம வந்து அதை பற்றி டீப்பாக படிச்சுக்கிட்டதுனால அது கோவிட்னா என்ன, இப்போ நமக்கும் அது வந்துடுமோ, கோவிடும் நமக்கும் வந்துடுமோ, நம்ம டெத் ரேட் எல்லாம் ஸ்டார்டிங்கில் வந்து ஒரு முதல்ல ஃபியர் தான். ஸோ அதனால் அந்த பயம் நமக்கு வருமோ, நம்ம ஏதாவது ஹெல்த் அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிருமோ, நம்ம ஃபேமிலி அஃபெக்ட் அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபியர். ஆனாலும் வந்து நான் வந்து அதாவது ப்ரேயர்ஃபுல்லாக இருப்பேன், ரொம்ப ப்ரேயர்ஃபுல்லாக இருப்பேன். கடவுள்கிட்ட ஜெபம் பண்ணிவிட்டு அந்த மாதிரி ஜீசஸ்ட்ட ரொம்ப ப்ரேயரில் இருப்பேன். எல்லாருக்காகவும் ஜெபம் பண்ணுவேன், கண்ட்ரிக்காக, நம்ம ஸ்டேட்டுக்காக, நம்ம சிட்டிக்காக, அதே மாதிரி ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸ்க்கு பேஷண்ட்ஸ்க்காக தினமும் காலையில் ஜெபம் பண்ணுவேன். அப்போ அப்படி இருக்கும்போது நான் வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவேன், ஆண்டவர்கிட்ட எனக்கு எதுவும் வரக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஜெபம் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே தான் நுழைவேன்.
Sheila got a big jolt earlier in May when she lost a colleague to coronavirus.
எல்லாரும் அழுதோம். ஆனால் மேட்டன் இருந்தப்போ வந்து அவங்க ரொம்ப சின்சியர். அவங்க சர்வீஸ்னு ஓடிக்கிட்டே தான் இருப்பாங்க. டைமிங்ஸ் பார்க்க மாட்டாங்க. காலையில் வந்து நைட்டு 8 மணி வரைக்கும்லாம் இருந்துட்டு போவாங்க, டியூட்டி பண்ணுவாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி வந்து அவங்க இறந்துட்டது நாங்கள் எல்லாருமே அழுதோம். ரொம்ப மனசு கஷ்டம்தான்.
For Sheila and her husband, who is a health inspector, the only major concern was safeguarding their own daughter.
ஹாஸ்பிட்டலேருந்து வீட்டுக்கு வரோம்ல, வந்தோடனே அந்த குழந்தை வீட்டில் இருக்கா, அந்த பயம்தான் வரும் தவிர வேறு எதுவும் வராது. வந்தோடனே நாங்களும் முதல்ல வந்து வந்தோடனே அவளை மேலே அனுப்பிட்டு இவளை வந்து நானும் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ன்றதில் 2 பேரும் குளிச்சுட்டு தான் அவளை கீழே வர சொல்லுவோம். அது வரைக்கும் அவள் வந்து மேலே தான் இருப்பாள். அதை ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஏதாவது மார்ச் ஏப்ரல் அந்த ஸ்டார்டிங் ஸ்டேஜில் கொஞ்சம் பயம் இருந்துச்சு. அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக பயம் இல்லாத நார்மலுக்கு வந்துட்டு, நார்மல் ஸ்டேஜுக்கு வந்துட்டு.
Sheila's daughter Andrea, who is preparing for NEET, has just one wish, that her mother gets proper rest.
She used to sleep nicely, get rest. So I won't disturb her because I know like 6 days of work, at least I should live for her one day. Like I live her, then she will cook me something good. Like I will ask her, cook me this, cook me that, and then she will cook me some kind of my favorite dishes, and she will give me that. I will be eating and we will be talking for some times, and we will go to our neighbor's house. Like we will sit and talk outside, or we will go to my relative's house. We will spend some times with them, and that's it.
Cover the entire body from the feet to the head in this equipment, and wearing 2 pairs of gloves, a face shield and also a goggles to make sure that they are protected from the infection. This is how a frontline worker, a nurse, is sacrificing herself and for the goodness of others, the patients. This is how they are doing their job. This is just one day, one shift for them, and this is like 2 personal protection equipments you have to wear every 6 hours in a 12-hour shift. And yes, of course, the time increases as per the requirement because patients flow is still at large in the state of Tamil Nadu, especially Chennai. We're seeing 1,100 minimum, and this is just a bit of sacrifice that we could show to our viewers from the side of a nurse, a staff nurse, a frontline health worker in Chennai. Incredible job done by them for the safety and protection of others. With camera person Vijay Shekhar, Pramod Madhav for Mirama.